Dana Denha here, and this is Let's Watch with the Ann Arbor Film Festival. Every year, talented filmmakers from all over the world aim to take part in our local film fest. Sometimes the talent isn't far from home as locals make their mark on this internationally renowned annual event. Today we're going to hear from a filmmaker who has his own take on the genre, utilizing the art of language to create what he dubbed an incomplete narrative. Joining me is Chris McNamara with his film, The Use of Movement. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you.
So I'm assuming that because you had 3 films to choose from when we originally talked, that maybe you've been involved in the film festival more than once.
Yes, I've had, I think, in the more recent history of the festival, I think 3 or 4 films. But my first film here was actually back in 1986 when I was just fresh out of university.
Wow.
A documentary film that I did called Tattoo, which was like my first introduction to the festival. So I was just a kid wet behind the ears, and I came here with some friends and enjoyed the festival back in '86.
That's pretty impressive because I know it's not easy to get into the Ann Arbor Film Festival. So kind of your first try right out of college.
Yeah, it was quite a shot in the arm for sure. It was really exciting to be accepted into the festival, and I knew it had quite a reputation, not just regionally but nationally and internationally. So it was quite exciting to be featured in the festival like that. Yeah, it was great.
So you've been a filmmaker. Have you done anything else with the festival?
Well, I've been, over the years, because of my role at the University of Michigan, I got involved on the board for several years. I was among a group of people who were sort of tapped on the shoulder to assist in the transition from strictly being a film festival to including video, because there was a time when video was not part of the festival. So, and they needed some people to come along and kind of help with that transition and to convince certain people that it was a good idea.
Well, yeah, and I mean, at this point, if it were strictly film, I feel like they'd really be narrowing their entries a lot.
I mean, it would be, if you think about the spirit of the festival, and initially they wanted to have, I mean, 16mm film was the go-to medium for artists and for people that didn't have access to other kinds of image-making equipment. And certainly over the years, if you wanted to look at the grassroots had also migrated to these other places. So it was really a logical place to expand the field.
So you're originally from Windsor, right?
Yes. Yeah,
and so what is your background then as a filmmaker? How did we get to this point?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I became really interested in film even in high school. I was initially really interested in writing and photography. And my father was a professor at the University of Windsor, and we had a room in the house that was kind of devoted to movies. And when the VCR came along, like my dad got like a VCR, and we watched movies all the time. And I grew up in a very sort of narrative cinema kind of household. Film was the topic of dinner conversations. It was either that or music, and there was a constant sort of, you know, kind of buzz in the house that way. And over the years, I became interested in looking at ways in which I could engage in the medium, and was never quite comfortable with the idea of making like, mainstream film, but very interested in the moving image as an art form. So I guess that those early days in my childhood home were a big contribution to that.
Did you always plan on coming to the States?
Well, I have American heritage. My folks are from Chicago originally and moved to Windsor back in 1959 before I was born. But the United States has always been, you know, kind of part of the consciousness for Windsorites in general anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Windsor and Detroit are kind of inextricably linked, and so certainly wanted to be working in a place where there was a kind of a large field of opportunities. So Ann Arbor, I didn't think I'd be living in Ann Arbor, but it turned out to be a home for us. So.
Well, yeah, because you said you kind of moved around a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Once you came here, you kind of had jobs where you moved around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Toronto, lived in Montreal, lived in Los Angeles, but I kept coming back to Windsor, Detroit, and I think of Ann Arbor as kind of just being sort of at the far edge of the region of Windsor and Detroit. So I don't feel it's like such a far away place, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Now that we've heard about Chris's experience with the Ann Arbor Film Festival and his experience as a filmmaker, let's watch his film, The Use of Movement.
Eine schummerige Leinwand. Schemenhaft lassen sich Figuren erkennen, die sich durch einen rauchverhangenen Raum bewegen. Eine Frau versucht zu schlafen, wird aber von Bildern heimgesucht, die aus ihrer Vergangenheit durchsehbar und archiviert sind. Gesichter bewegen sich durch den Rauch, schweben an der Kamera vorbei. Wenn sie an diesen Tag zurückdenkt, kann sie sich nicht daran erinnern, dass jemals jemand mit einer Videokamera dagewesen wäre. Der Ton auf diesen Videos ist schlecht. Die Bilder sind auch nicht viel besser, aber da sind sie dennoch, verwoben mit all diesen anderen unnützen Gefühlen aus der Vergangenheit.
Scena 1. Oceano, spiaggia, giorno. I bagnanti giocano nell'acqua. C'è una leggerissima corrente marina ed alcuni tra i vacanzieri incespicano nell'acqua per il suo improvviso andirivieni. L'oceano ed il suo movimento sinuoso sono spesso associati all'inconscio. Generalmente i sogni sono considerati materiale particolarmente scadente per il cinema.
দ্বিতীয় দৃশ্য, শহরের রাস্তা সন্ধে নেমে আসছে। একটি ছেলে আর একটি মেয়ে স্কুটারে চড়ে যাচ্ছে। তাদের মাথায় পুরনো আমলের হেলমেট, গলায় রেশমের রুমাল। দোকানের আর রাস্তার আলো ছেলেটির চশমার কাঁচে প্রতিফলিত হচ্ছে। মেয়েটি ছেলেটিকে ধরে আছে, সে দেখছে উল্টো দিক থেকে আসা গাড়ির স্রোত আর ফুটপাথের পথচারীদের। অন্ধকারে ভেসে বেড়ানো দোকানের আলো তাকে যেন খানিকটা সান্ত্বনা জোগাচ্ছে। তৃতীয় দৃশ্য, সমুদ্র তীরের বিনোদন উদ্যান, দিনের বেলা। সমুদ্রের ধারে একটি বিনোদন উদ্যান। একটি রাইড ক্রমাগত ফ্রেমের মধ্যে আসছে, আবার ফ্রেমের বাইরে চলে যাচ্ছে। ক্যামেরায় ধরা পড়া গতি অথবা ক্যামেরার গতিশীলতা দুটিই দর্শকের মধ্যে অনুরণন সৃষ্টি করে। চলচ্চিত্র প্রধানত একটি ইন্দ্রিয় নির্ভর মাধ্যম। প্রেমের প্রান্তগুলো হদিশ দেয় উপস্থিতি আর অনুপস্থিতির।
Außen eine Seitenstraße in einer Stadt, Abenddämmerung. Dem Himmel nach zu urteilen, ist es Spätherbst oder Anfang des Winters. Vorgärten sind leer und makellos. Ein Eiswagen fährt die Straße entlang. Aus seinem Lautsprecher tönt Musik. Ist es Turkey in the Straw oder die Titelmelodie irgendeiner längst vergessenen Kindersendung aus dem Fernsehen? Der Laster steht auch für besondere Anlässe und Betriebsereignisse zur Verfügung.
Escena 5. Una plaza. Por la tarde. Los autobuses y los autos circulan mientras los peatones esperan cruzar la calle. A pesar de sus indeterminadas características de vila marítima, los autobuses rojos y la austeridad dejada, este lugar podría ser confundido con una plaza en Berlín. Ambas ciudades fueron apaleadas durante la guerra, así que sus historias físicas comenzaron de nuevo por el año 1946.
Sechste Szene. Außen. Wonderland Einkaufszentrum. Morgendämmerung. Diese Orte werden noch öfter überschrieben. Es ist nicht ratsam, sie anhand von Wahrzeichen zu durchqueren, da diese sich schnell verändern oder verblassen. Da wir uns in der Regel ohnehin im Kreis bewegen, ist es unwahrscheinlich, dass du dorthin gehen müsstest. Es sei, dies wäre einer deiner Kreise. Ich habe diesen wiederkehrenden Traum. Ich habe mich in irgendeiner vage definierten Stadt verirrt, die aus Kreuzungen und Straßen besteht, die in unzählige Richtungen führen. Es dunkelt und ich lande je nachdem auf irgendeinem leeren Parkplatz oder auf einem Platz vor einem verlassenen Bürokomplex.
সপ্তম দৃশ্য। একটি ছোট বিমান থেকে দেখা নিচের শহর। সন্ধ্যা ঘনিয়ে আসছে। 1950-এর দশকে অনেক পুরনো বসতবাড়ি ধূলিসাৎ করে ফেলা হয় বিশাল সব আবাসন বানাবার জন্য। এর উদ্দেশ্য ছিল একটা একাত্মবোধ বা গোষ্ঠী চেতনা তৈরি করা, যা নাকি আগে খুব একটা ছিল না। এই উঁচুতলা বাড়িগুলো সম্বন্ধে অনেক গল্প আছে। গল্প আছে এদের ছাদ থেকে মেঝে অবধি নেমে আসা জানলা নিয়ে। এইসব বাড়ির স্থপতিরা দুঃস্বপ্নগুলোর কথা আঁচ করে উঠতে পারেননি, পড়ে যাওয়ার দুঃস্বপ্ন। এই বাড়ির বাসিন্দারা বুদ্ধি খাটিয়ে বের করে যে জানলার তলার দিকটা কার্ডবোর্ড দিয়ে ঢেকে দিলে এই দুঃস্বপ্ন দেখাটা কিছুটা কমত। লুডভিগ মিস ভ্যান ডের রোর কড়া নির্দেশ ছিল ঠিক কিভাবে তার পরিকল্পিত বাড়িগুলোর জানলার পর্দা বা আচ্ছাদনী খুলতে হবে। হয় পুরোটা খোলা থাকবে, নয়তো অর্ধেক নামানো, নয় সম্পূর্ণ বন্ধ।
Scena 8. Interno. Laboratorio di idrodinamica marina. Ancora acqua. Questa volta in un ambiente controllato. Il pericolo in cui questo modellino potrebbe incorrere è determinato esclusivamente dalla persona che lo opera. Quando eravamo bambini, eravamo attratti dalla violenza delle collisioni. Le riproducevamo con le nostre scatolette di fiammiferi e poi ne sotterravamo i resti in giardino. Oggi siamo ancora attratti da questo autentico spettacolo, ma solo all'idea ne siamo anche pieni di paura.
Neunte Szene, außen, im hohen Gras, tags. Die eine Sache steht für eine andere ein. Ein entlegener Ort in irgendeinem ungenutzten Feld. Hier wurden in den späten 40er Jahren Gehsteige für irgendwelche Siedlungen für Veteranen angelegt, die aus dem Krieg zurückkehrten. Die Häuser wurden nie gebaut, Oder vielleicht wurden sie woanders errichtet. Die Gehsteige zergehen allmählich zur Landschaft.
Vista aérea. Un río. De regreso al agua. Este río desemboca en el océano. Quizás este es un buen lugar para terminar. Viajando de esta manera nos ayuda a comprender que las fronteras existen de verdad y que no siempre son fáciles de navegar. Quizás, cuando volamos, todos hemos tenido el deseo de localizar nuestra casa, pero el avión siempre se las maneja para dar lo que nos parece una vuelta brusca e inesperada, privándonos de esa oportunidad mientras los rayos del sol danzan formando círculos en la cabina.
Elfte Szene: Die Frau schläft. Auf dem Inneren deiner Augenlider spielen sich Filme ab. Auf deinen täglichen Wegen stolperst du gelegentlich über ein Bild oder eine alte Nachricht, die dir neu ist, etwas, das dich mit Trauer oder Reue erfüllt. Im Schlaf versuchst du dem allen seinen Sinn zu geben. Aber die schnelle Bildfolge ruft andere Dinge wach, die wenig oder gar nichts nützen. Der Geruch einer bestimmten Sorte süßlich riechender indonesischer Zigaretten, die es früher im Liquor Store gab. Die Mädchen mit asymmetrischem Haarschnitt in Lederjacken und umfunktionierten katholischen Schuluniformen. Die endlosen Seitenstraßen und Eckkneipen, die jetzt mit Brettern zugenagelt sind. Die Bücher, für das kleine Kind gekauft und schon lange an eine andere junge Mutter weitergegeben. Die Büchse voller Familienfotos, die in einem leeren Haus zurückgelassen worden sind. Vielleicht wachst du auf und vergisst dies alles, aber vielleicht bleibt dieses Gefühl, dass irgendetwas fehlt. Und obwohl du es vielleicht nicht benennen oder ihm Form geben kannst, trauerst du dennoch darum. Alles bewegt sich am Bildrand rein und raus.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you for sharing your film with us.
It's a pleasure to share it with you, Dana.
So can you just tell me a little bit more about this, because this is more of like a trilogy of films?
Yeah, it started out with a video called Establishing Shots, and then the one in the middle was called Character Sketches, and then this is sort of the culmination of it, the use of movement. And in all of them, they have multiple languages, and they're all done with voiceovers. And I was particularly interested in looking at ways in which language, both the visual language and the spoken word languages, could come together to create something that is creating meaning beyond, you know, the words being spoken or the images being being seen. So, and so I was really kind of interested in the idea of kind of almost like the accidental poetry that happens with subtitles, and the idea that no matter what language you speak, other languages are going to sound almost like music if you don't know them. And so I was interested in the idea of sort of moving towards the edges of the literal into the abstract and the musical almost.
Do you feel like because the language is like almost like an art in itself, that do you need people to read the subtitles while they're watching it?
You know, that's a good question. I think that there's always that push and pull. I mean, if anybody who's ever sort of grown up admiring like new wave films from France or something, Like I speak a little bit of French, but I'm still constantly looking at the images and bouncing back down to the subtitles to make sure I'm apprehending everything. And so sometimes it takes away from, you know, being able to drink those images in. And that's kind of a byproduct of not, you know, knowing those languages. So certainly I think there's going to be this tension between what you're hearing and what you're seeing. And the original video, Establishing Shot, was actually meant to be in an installation. So it was the kind of thing that you could stay and watch and come back to and watch again. So it's different than a single channel screening at a festival. So you could kind of like spend as much time with it as you want, because it would just keep replaying. So.
Out of curiosity, you have a variety of different languages in these. So how do you narrow down the languages, and where are these people coming from that are doing the voiceovers?
Yeah, well, it's really, you know, I'm fortunate to be in a department where, in the Department of Screen Arts and Cultures at the University of Michigan, where there are a lot of folks from other departments that speak other languages and are engaged in the act of translation. And so I approached a number of them, and they introduced me to more people. So the lion's share of people that are doing the voiceovers actually help with the translations and perform those voices as well. So it's kind of like having the resources right there. So.
It kind of pays to be at the University of Michigan when it's so cultural.
It's, yeah, it sort of creates for a very sort of vibrant and global kind of vibe, for sure.
So like when I was reading the description from your Vimeo page where you gave me the video, you say it's an incomplete narrative. Can you kind of explain what that means to me?
Yeah, well, I'm really interested in fiction and poetry, and the idea that sometimes the engagement of our engagement with something doesn't always have to be reliant upon having like a beginning and a middle and an end. And that sometimes we can enjoy something that's purely pictorial, or something that is kind of hinting at things that we can't fully grasp. It's kind of like when you're in a train and you come through a town and you see something happening on the platform, and then the train leaves, and we don't know what's going to happen to those people on the platform, and nevertheless we're sort of drawn to them, and we can create sort of speculative kind of ideas as to what their lives are like. And so I kind of like the idea that art can sometimes emulate that kind of sort of attraction to a story. So it's not about the complete story, it's just about fragments of a story, and they leave us wanting more. That's sort of my hope.
Yeah, and I think the film definitely does that. But the one thing that seems to come full circle in the film is the dreamer at the beginning and the end. And it's, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure this out here. Is she, are the images within part of her dreaming?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. I wanted a sort of a framing mechanism, and I did that with the first one as well, with this barber who's like, a barber. He's in a barber shop, and so the scene starts in the barber shop and it ends. And in the final one, a lot of the elements that are being spoken of in that film are based upon certain things that I've experienced myself, and some of them are based on dreams. I don't think dreams are necessarily always such, the great place to start with a story, but I was really interested in the idea of how dreams can sometimes haunt us, and we can sort of discover things in our dreams, and also the way in which we find out about things now in a contemporary world with the media, with the internet, that there are things that sort of we learn about our own past in a very sort of strange way. So I was, in many ways, Gwen, who plays the part, she's kind of like my alter ego in that film. I mean, she's kind of me, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah. So that was sort of, and the idea that movies play against the back of your eyelids. I love that idea that when we're dreaming, we're kind of watching a film.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
So what do you think are some of the standout images for you in this film?
Wow, there's a number of them. I think I'm particularly drawn to the images of the couple on the scooter, but also the images of the seaside in England, which was a childhood home of mine, and I think those sorts of things really resonate for me emotionally. But certainly, when one makes films, it's often about things that we we love to kind of engage in. It's you know, that's the kind of work I like to do. If I'm going to spend time editing it, I'm going to want to sort of inhabit those places, and so I'm particularly interested in city spaces at particular times of the day, and just really sort of drinking that in, you know.
So you traveled around to shoot this as well?
Yeah, there's a number of locations. I mean, there's some, you know, very specific to this area, but the northern suburbs of Detroit, downtown Detroit. The aerial stuff was all done by a guy in New York. So those are all things that I sort of pulled from Google Earth, which is yet another way of kind of taking in a place. And then giving him the coordinates, and then him going out with his drone helicopter and filming them.
That's what it was,
Yeah,
a drone?
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
curious if
A
it
very-
was like a real
yeah.
helicopter shot
No.
or a drone shot.
And it's really kind of early days of drone. Like, this is a few years ago, and the technology's really changed. But there's these images that aren't in the film of like people playing baseball and hearing this loud noise, and it's the helicopter about to take off, and they're all like looking towards the camera. It's a really, you know, kind of funny little bit, but it's you know, wasn't something that was part of the film. So yeah.
So based on your experience with the festival and submitting films or just being a viewer, why would you tell people to, you know, just take part in it in some way or another?
Wow. It's a festival that shows work that you're never going to see anywhere else. And even in the age of YouTube and Vimeo, the opportunity for a shared experience like that, it's quite unique. And it's the kind of thing that you're not going to encounter on television very often. And to see it all in, you know, as a collective group of people that are interested in that kind of work, and to have conversations about it, it's a pretty rare opportunity. And I think, you know, the Ann Arbor Film Festival is a real jewel in the crown of the city, for sure. And I think, you know, people should take advantage of it. Yeah.
All right, thanks. It was great chatting with you.
Great. Thank you very much.
To watch this and other CTN series online, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Until next time, I'm Dana Denhow.